I love getting into the shallow water. I also really like drifting these lower estuary channels. It's quite active, it's a fast-paced sort of fishing. You're always on the move, and quite visual. It's quite an easy, I think it's an easier option for the kids. They're always engaged, it keeps me engaged. G'day, I'm Brent Hodges. I'm based down in Geelong in Victoria, up here on the south coast on holiday. So we've been light tackle lure casting for the best part of about 20 years now, and I haven't really diversified too much. I think we've just got a little bit better perhaps at doing what we're doing. I think this light tackle lure casting is a particularly good option for kids. They're always doing something, they're always stand up and casting, winding the lure back in, which kids tend to like to do. So that's, for me, that's what it's all about. It's a whole lot of fun, it's very active, highly engaging, and it's great to have the family on board to do it with you. Often you can see the fish holding in the channel, and they're not actively feeding, they're not boiling up on the surface. They seem to be just holding with their head in the current, they're tightly balled up. We try and hold off the fish as best we can. Obviously we want to get a bit of a visual of them so that you know that they're there. Then we try and hold off the fish. We're utilising electric motor to try and position the boat about a cast away, or a cast and a half away. I'll cut my main motor maybe 50 metres in advance and just drift up slowly to the fish to try and keep them unaware of our presence. Big long cast, usually with the wind if we can. However, when we're fishing these channels, we're mostly drifting with the current, and hopefully the current sort of matches up with the wind. Often it doesn't, you've got to improvise a little bit. But if we're drifting with the tide, whether it's the incoming or the outgoing tide, I try and cast about at 45 degrees to that current, and then drift down with the boat and the plastic sort of working at the same pace, if that makes sense. We tend to find if you try and work the plastic directly back up into the current, it's not as effective, and the same thing applies if you cast straight up current and bring it back with the flow. That doesn't seem to work as well either. So about 45 degrees, and we're usually working a bit of an edge, sort of a bit of a drop off, and that's usually where the more active fish will congregate, in those little pressure eddies up against the edges. Particularly on the run out tide, if you can position just either side of a sandbar, that water's sort of funneling off there, creates that ambush opportunity for the salmon. Even when the bulk of the school are not really feeding, there will always be some active fish, and they're the fish we're looking for. So a couple of key points for success in this style of fishing. First up, lure selection, 3-inch minnow. Make sure it's got that semi-translucent appearance. You need to rig that nice and straight on about a 1/12 to a 1/16 ounce jig head. To throw that as far as you can and avoid spooking the fish, you'll need a spin outfit rigged with 6-pound line. So attached to our 6-pound braid, I've got about a rod length of 8-pound leader. When the fish are really shy, we even scale back to about 6-pound, but 8 to 10 gives you a little bit more insurance. And finally, with the casting, making sure you get that nice long cast as far ahead of the boat as you possibly can, and maintaining contact between the tip of the rod and that lure and trying to avoid the wind grabbing and creating a great big bow in your line.